All right, y'all, we're gonna get this thing finished up. So the first thing I'm gonna do is readjust this windshield just a little bit. We're a little bit low on this side. These seams aren't quite meeting up exactly how I want them to. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide this side up just a little bit. And then I think I'm gonna put the mirrors, well, I had planned to put it in line with this bracket because I was playing around with the other side, but now I see I've got this grab bar right here on this side, so we'll probably have to go just a little bit below it. So I'll probably just kind of go right here. But let me get this windshield moved a little bit and get it exactly where I want it, and then we'll get these mirrors put on. There we go. That right there is about perfect. Yep. Okay. All right, so the windshield's where we need it to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these mirrors put on. They're very, very easy to install. So we've got the passenger side right here. So they are adjustable. They can tilt a little bit left and right, and then forward and backward, and then they swing as well. So you've got a good bit of adjustment with them. And also, because they tilt and move and stuff like that, if you're out on a trail or out in the woods or whatever and run one into something, hopefully it won't break it. It'll just kind of bend it a little bit. So the hardware is very simple. It's just this little round clamp and your bolt. Okay, y'all, before I go any farther, I'm going to kind of show you something that I found here. So there was a tiny spot of rust right here. You can see I've already sanded down a little bit of it. And as I was sanding, some of this powder coat on this roll bar was flaking off. And so I kind of wanted to catch this before it got too terribly bad. And the original spot was really only about this big. That was showing where the powder coat had peeled off. It was about that big, and you can see how far this rust has spread. So I've chipped it back to where now this powder coat is still really well adhered. So we've made it to the edge of the rust. And since this is going to be underneath this mirror mount, I just wanted to go ahead and get the rust taken care of, and I'm going to probably spray it just with a little bit of black spray paint just to encapsulate it, get it covered up so that it won't hopefully rust anymore. I want to protect this and keep it from spreading anymore, because eventually, if I don't, this is just going to completely delaminate this whole roll bar powder coating. So I scraped it back. Like I said, it's really well adhered around the edge, so I'm going to go ahead and sand all of this rust off, and then we'll put some spray paint or something on there. I would love to be able to repowder coat it, but I don't have an oven big enough to be able to do this, a piece this big, so we'll just do this. Okay, that's pretty clean. I'm going to go ahead and feather out that edge just a little bit. I'm not really trying to feather it so much as just score this surface here so when I paint it, it'll stick really well. That's good. Hit it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol just to get all of the little dust particles out of there. Get that nice and clean. All right, so I've got some paint here. This is actually engine enamel with ceramic in it, so hopefully it will hold pretty good. See if we can, there we go. It's designed for high heat. Obviously this isn't a high heat area, but it, you know, it should at least be a little more durable than just a regular spray paint. This stuff's pretty old, so hopefully it still works well. It also is low gloss. I was hoping I had a matte black to kind of match this, but I don't, so I'll just use this. The only other black I had was a high gloss, so I'm definitely not going to use that. Make sure we don't get anything on this windshield that I just put on. Let's see which way this thing's spraying, because it's got a, okay, no fan. Looks like that's gonna run just a little bit. Should have done it a little thinner to start, but I'm gonna grab my heat gun and we'll dry it. Stuff's drying pretty quick as it is, but I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with the heat gun just so we can get it completely dry really fast. And then I'm gonna knock down that run with the sandpaper, because that part's not even gonna be totally dry yet. I think that's going to be good, so I'm going to go ahead and peel all this tape off. So that looks fine. It definitely doesn't match the rest of it, but like we were talking about, this is going to get covered with that mirror mount, so you'll never see it. I just kind of wanted it to be covered up and get that rust problem taken care of. So now that that's done, I'm gonna get this stuff cleaned up and we'll get these mirrors put on. All right, so this has had a little bit of time to dry completely. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this bar all the way around where this mount is gonna be, just with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. And this mount that comes with this doesn't actually have any kind of rubber or anything to protect this metal. The windshield has some rubber strips inside these inside the mounts, and it protects the metal from getting rubbed off, or it protects the powder coat from getting rubbed off. But these don't have that, so I'm just going to use some of this material here. This is what's used to seal around windows or doors, or it can be used on decks to seal the top of the joists for a deck. So I'm just going to cut just a thin strip, just enough to kind of barely cover this, and that should be enough. Like, I don't want it hanging out of this, but you can see that the width here is pretty much the width of the bracket. So I'm just gonna cut it just inside these marks, probably about the size of this part that we just fixed. So right there. And actually, this whole thing might, nope, it's not gonna quite go around. All right, so let's see how much we're gonna need. So I'm gonna cut it just a little bit long, and then I'll trim it with a razor blade and get it the exact size that I need. Yeah, that'll work nicely. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap this around here, just like that. That's gonna be perfect. Backing on stuff like this is always a pain to get off. But you can do, what I usually do is either use a little pocket screwdriver like this to get it started, or you can use a razor blade. Not quite a perfect fit, but it's pretty close. But like I said, you're not going to see it once we get this bracket on here, so it'll be just fine. So this is going to sit on here. Hopefully it'll still fit. Good. That's actually going to even help hold this in place. And then we're going to have our mirror. And the hardware for this has a little rubber grommet. So the rubber grommet's going to go in between the mirror and the bracket just to kind of keep it from moving at all. There we go. Now I'm going to get this thing as level as I can. And then, like I said, this tilts as well, so I'm going to try to get it, look at the base of it and trying to get it level, and then any adjustment that needs to be made should be able to just be made on the mirror here. That's good. That's nice and solid. So now that we got that one done, let's go take a look at the other side. All right, so that other side, we had that paint mark to go off of for where it was going to be leveled to. This one we don't have that, so I'm going to level this one again. So I want this even with this bracket right here. So we got both of those in, so I'm going to get them adjusted for exactly where I want them, and then we'll get this little weather stripping down here on the windshield cut off, and we'll be all done. All right, so I've got my mark here where it needs to be cut, so I'm going to pull it down a little bit just so I don't have that windshield in the way. Just cut through the metal there. And that right there is exactly why I put that there. There we go. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's go to the other side. That is all finished up. Everything looks good. We'll put this windshield down and we'll take a look at it. All right, we got everything finished up. This is what it looks like. There are some nuts on the bottom of these mirrors, so you can tighten them up a little bit. So I did snug them up pretty good, but they should still fold if I run into a tree or anything out in the woods. But this is what it looks like with the windshield up. You can see that gasket down there at the bottom has a nice good seal on it. And then inside, so we've got the mirrors right there. So the only thing about where I put this one is you can see that that grab bar kind of obstructs the mirror just a little bit. this right here is kind of my view. So it's really not that bad. You know, I really only need to be able to see, you know, where the roll bar is and where the bed and the wheel are. So it works just fine for that. But if that's a concern for you, you'll want to mount it either higher or lower, obviously. But then here's our little handle for the windshield. So you just pull down on it and it's pretty stout. So right here would be fully closed, and then you also have the option to just kind of crack it open a little bit and put it in right there. We'll go ahead and close it all the way just for a minute, and we'll take a look at how things look outside with it closed. It's dirty a little bit right now just because I've had it open and we've got pollen falling, but that's the windshield. So I am going to go and get some Rain-X for plastic. They make some that's specifically designed for Lexan, polycarbonate, and plexiglass, and being as this is polycarbonate, that'll work on this. And so my plan is to put that on there because obviously we don't have a windshield wiper, and I think that will help with scratch resistance. If we make that nice and slick, anything like branches and stuff that we run into, hopefully will just kind of slide off of it without scratching it too bad. It does have a scratch resistant coating, but right here, this is actually on the inside, not the outside, but you can see there's some scratches in it already, and those I believe were from shipping because the plastic protector was peeled back a little bit right there. So we've got some scratching right there, but I don't know if they coat the inside with that scratch resistant stuff or not. But like I said, we're just going to do the Rain-X, and that should help with scratching and will definitely help with any water. So this is what everything looks like with it closed up. I think it's a really nice looking windshield, and hopefully it works really well. We'll give it a test in a little bit. From inside, clarity is pretty good. Anytime you have a windshield, obviously you're gonna have some reflectiveness and things like that, but overall I'm really happy with it, and I think Lindsay's really gonna like it. All right, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and get this gasket put on here. So I have already test fit it, and I think the best place for it is gonna be right along this top edge. I went ahead and cleaned this with some glass cleaner. I'm also gonna run over it just real quick with some alcohol and make sure that it's nice and clean. So we're just gonna clean this off right here. Anytime you're doing any kind of adhesive, you just wanna make sure you get just a really clean, dry surface, no oil residue or anything like that. So rubbing alcohol works really good for that. So we're a little later in the day. It's cooled off a little bit out here. So I'm also gonna grab my heat gun and use that just to kind of heat this plexiglass or polycarbonate up a little bit. When you're doing adhesive like this, it really helps to have it a little bit warm. It's not cold out here, but it's a little cool, so I'm going to heat it up just a little bit. That should be good. Like I said, I'm not trying to get a ton of heat into it, just warm it up a little bit. All right, so this also we have some extra of, so I'm gonna go off the end just a little bit. Just gonna do a little bit at a time. All right, so now that we're done with that, I'm gonna cut this off, and I'm actually gonna go just inside the edge because I don't want anything hanging over, because that's just gonna be something that can get caught or get snagged and start peeling up over time. So I'm gonna go just a little bit on the inside. I'm just following this windshield line. All right, y'all, as always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy the content, then hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you can get notified when we post new videos. But anyway, that's it for this one, and we will see you guys on the next one.